Hi guys, welcome to Dad to Dan. In this episode we're going to look at the questioning part of Dad's sales cycle, and this one is really key. It's an integral part of sales, asking the right questions in order to get the right information to be able to sell the correct product. So this one's going to be a really interesting one for you guys, so make sure you pay attention. Right, so we've kind of outlined the importance of questioning vaguely, but for the people at home who perhaps don't know, what would you say is really the important thing about the right sort of questioning?
Well, obviously the purpose of the questioning part of the sales structure is really to uncover the needs, whether they're implicit needs, ones that are obvious, or implied needs, ones that they perhaps don't even know. And in one training they call it the present state and future state. In other words, what does that customer want in the future that they haven't got now? Because what you're trying to do with your questions is really uncover the problems and issues the customer's got that particularly that relate to your product, because your product's going to solve those problems for them. Nobody's going to buy anything or buy your product if it doesn't give them something that they haven't already got. And your job with the questioning is to uncover what they haven't got, the gap, if you like, that your product can fill. Yeah.
Okay, and what would you say are the best kind of questions, or some examples of questioning?
Well, I think there's the most common used is open and closed questions. And open questions, are the sort of open end that can't really be answered by a yes or no. So who, what, where, and when, those sort of questions. And closed questions are specific. They can only really be answered by a particular answer, yes, no, or a particular number or something.
Okay, and I've noticed a lot with open questions, particularly, that you can have different degrees of openness. Have you sort of?
Yeah, people think, oh, I'll just ask an open question, because I'll make an open question because I'll put where at the beginning of it. It doesn't really make it an open question, because if you go, where did you sleep last night? You go, well, in bed. Yeah. So it's not really giving you any information. So often you have to kind of preface or open a larger question. The idea of open questions is basically because depending on the person you're speaking to, you want them to say more than just a couple of words. So you want them to explain something. So you kind of ask that in the question, So I can't really use that example we just did, but rather than saying, where did you sleep last night, you can sort of go, depending on how you feel, what sort of things you consider before you go to bed, So what you're asking them is to give you more than just an answer, So then they'll give you, well, I usually think I usually like to have this. They'll tell you the whole nighttime regime. So through that you get a lot more information than just, the bed sort of thing,
Yeah. I suppose that it's really key, isn't it, to be able to then take the right information out of their answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the listening part is really key as well.
Well, this is the other. Yeah. Probably the most vital stage. It's pointless just asking a question and then, and particularly when you first start out in sales, you tend to, you have all these questions, and I'd always, you should always have a notebook and have some of these questions written in, because, in case you forget them. But what people do is kind of read them off pat, next question, without really listening. So there's two key things that you've got to be generally interested in what the customer's going to say, or else the customer's soon, one, going to get pissed off with you, but two, you're not going to get anywhere. And you can do that by what they call active listening. And active listening is just what you just did then, by nodding your head, agreeing, looking at the person, taking notes as well. So, when they say something, you go, yeah, that's good. So you write it down. So they think, oh, he's taking some notes. I must be saying something really important.
Yeah.
And then posture as well. Body language. One of the things is if you sort of put your hand up here, it's kind of like what you're doing. It's the old product, because what you're doing is you're covering your mouth. That's why you put. And when anyone puts their chin depending on what their other body language is saying, it's normally a way of covering their mouth. But so for you, you're saying, well, I'm not going to say anything because I'm listening to you. So probably very good when I'm on the mic, but say it like that. So that's it, and then putting your head to one side. Mm-hmm. I think it's one side or the other, but I think both sides are okay. It shows that you're interested, that you're you're listening. It's a listening pose, and so if you're not already doing those, get in the habit of doing those when people talk, and then verbal appreciations. I think you mentioned one the other day on the phone by just having, a simple nodding that you're kind of.
Well, I think especially on the phone, because I'm predominantly telephone sales, and it's very difficult to get across a lot of these active listening, because nodding is pointless, and like you say, head on one side, pointless.
Yeah.
But what is quite good is using just little, when they have a breath or something like that, just little okay, oh really?
Yeah.
Because it makes you sound like you're interested, and especially on the phone, it's so difficult to get across that interest level.
Yeah, great. Oh, really is a good one. Really, tell me more. I think it's interesting. That's really interesting. So those things, and then get what you want to do is get people to sort of open up more. Some people, and again coming back to closed questions, some people speak too much. You ask them one simple question, and before you know it, the whole life story's coming out
about their wife and their marriage.
That's it. Yeah. So that's where closed questions can come back, because that's when you bring in closed questions, because you bring person back onto your track by asking closed questions. So if you know that's the sort of person they are, actually more closed questions would work better, because you get the answers you want, and you might have to ask a few more questions, but you kind of can be a little bit more precise with them.
So you just mentioned there about people sometimes giving you too much information. Something that I did in one of my trainings was there's different styles of questioning, and one of them, which for that example, is defining questions. So tell me exactly or specifically. So using these words really triggers a thought in somebody's head. So exactly why would you like this, or exactly what is the problem, and I know that you've got different sort of questioning styles as well.
There are sort of different ones. I've heard people use things like telescope questions, which are sort of looking at 12 months past, 12 months in the future, looking at reflective questions, so thinking about that. Well, what would you have done differently if you'd had that case, or how did making the customer think about what they've done or what to do. So there's third eye questions, which is the same sort of thing. If you were looking at your business from the outside, what would you say you needed? And just making them think a little bit harder about their business and their situation they're in, that your product relates to. So in a way, the benefit of doing that is that not only are you there to sell them something, but what you're trying to do is help them solve their issues. And make them think about their business. Perhaps they don't always have time to sit there and do that, and they're busy people. We're all busy, so it kind of opens up a larger conversation, and you become then a consultant. You're not just there to sell them a product. You're there helping them run their business, and even if they come up with something that you think's really good, or that they say, but your business cannot solve that. It's not there. What you can say, I can say that's really important to you, it's really interesting, and unfortunately we don't have anything I think we can solve that point. But I'll make a note of that, because if anything comes up, we'll definitely get back to you on that. Or recommend a competitor's product.
I know that somebody can help.
Then you'll be in a consultant, so...
Yeah, and it's something that I've definitely learned through my trainings, is I've before wanted to sell very quickly. As soon as you get a sniff of a buying signal, you go straight in. When actually what you could be doing is, instead of building a sale, you build a customer.
Yeah.
somebody who will come back to you and ask you things. You know, in my industry specifically, in IT security, we've got such a vast array of security products. You know, I might be able to sell a firewall, but actually what they need is a full security suite.
Yeah.
But because I've only listened to their original need, I've made a tiny profit.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's, you know, across the board.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why big, you know, future questions are quite good to start, you know, to sort of really understand where they are in the whole business, you know, rather than being very specific early on, you know, sort of. And sometimes customers, you know, you can ask, you know, Brexit is a big thing at the moment. You know, you could start any conversation with, you know, so let's just looking back a bit, you know, how's Brexit going to affect your business, you know? And they think, what the hell are you talking about IT security? What the hell are you talking about Brexit for, you know? But so you've got to be a bit careful that sometimes, you know, there are a lot of, you know, sales courses, you're having these big questions, and you find that
you've got to be able to link them in.
Yeah, the customer looks at you and think, well, you know. So
there's a structure that I learned which I found really useful personally, and it's called coffee questions. And that's culture, organisation, financial, future, and external environment.
Oh yeah.
So it's so useful to be able to start at one. So you started at maybe financial. Okay, so, you know, ask some questions around their finances. You might get a dead end. It's often you do around finances. People are often quite secure about this. So then you just come back up to a different area. So you go maybe future or external environment, and you come down on all of those tracks. And eventually, what will happen is, for me anyway, you find that one of the areas there will be an in, because they'll be perhaps more comfortable talking about their culture, or more comfortable about talking about future. But you know, so it's always useful to have that line of questioning.
It's such an important subject, isn't it? This, I don't think we can really cover it all. You know, I think what would be good actually for the people, if we put this all together in a bit of a PDF or something. You know, sort of some of these structures, some of these questions, some of these ideas, and then people can kind of, you know, look at them in their leisure, because I think it's such an important subject that we could have covered, you know, 2 or 3 easily, of our sessions on these.
And we could probably go over it and do another one later on around it. Cause
we could perhaps get you doing some questions. Practical ones.
Do some examples. And you're going to be a really annoying customer, won't you?
Yeah, I'll be good at that. Hi. So as you know, normally I add a little book review or a review of some resources that are really useful for the subject we've just been talking about. But on this one, I'm going to be a bit cheeky and recommend you guys get our PDF. So what we've done is, because so much to talk about asking questions, and so many different sort of tips and tricks and sort of abbreviations. So what we've done is we set that down in a whole sort of PDF about asking questions, the structure, and it all includes the structure as well that we're starting on as well. So you've got a sort of a reminder for what back is and that sort of thing. So again, if you follow the link, it's just a downloadable PDF, and take that. Have that with our pleasure, sort of thing. Cheers, then. Bye.